All right. I listed down a couple of things. I kind of thought about where we are, and as a theorist, I asked myself, what are the reasons? So what I have, and I'll quickly mention them. Number one, our history as a country, pre-colonial times, and then the first coup in 1966, and what followed after that coup, and then of course subsequent coups until where we are. Number two is our traditions as a people. How do we respond to authority? Of course, there are differences in culture. What you find in some parts of northern Nigeria is very different from what you find in some parts of southern Nigeria. That's important. Number three is mentality, our mentality. And if that too is changing over time, what used to be and what is at the moment. The average youth is influenced by social media, which I'll talk about shortly, the role of the media. Then legislative framework. We've had a long history. Like you mentioned, this is the longest republic that we've had, and our legislature has grown. And we've seen some, I would say, positive development as a result of that. But before now, we haven't really seen that. Then number 5, I think, or 4, domestic politics. Has our politics been transparent? Has it reflected the wishes of the average Nigerian? Then in continuation is international and regional security context. What happens geopolitics around us in affects our military and how we see our military. Not too long ago in Zimbabwe, after a coup, we saw how people came out and were celebrating the military. A lot of young Nigerians saw that and asked themselves critical questions. What is happening in Nigeria? How come you don't have that? So it influences the way they behave to the military. And then, of course, the military's role in society. Their own perception of their role, and then what has been instructed for them to do. There are two different things. There are professional militaries, focus, and then there is the instruction or directive given to the military. If you look at the Renewed Hope agenda, there are rules and responsibilities of the military embedded in that. And then in continuation is the image of the military profession in the public mind. How do we as Nigerians see that military profession? And then, of course, in continuation is the personal characteristics of the military professional himself. How does he portray his characteristics to the public? Does he see the gun he's carrying as an instrument to force the society, or does he see it as an instrument to protect the society? And then, of course, lastly is the role of the media. What does the media portray the military to be? So these are some of the issues that have influenced civil-military relations over time in Nigeria. And for each one of them, if we pick, there are, of course, issues that have arisen over time. Let me pick the last one, the media. If you divide the media into social media and then conventional media, I would say on the whole, the conventional media has done quite well in portraying the kind of military that we as Nigerians would want. For social media, not necessarily. Of course, the social media has a role, especially as someone who operates in the intelligence cycle. I know the role of social media. But there are often times when the social media breeds the three, I would say, devils of modern day society: misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Where that happens and the target of that is the military, then the consequence is that the trust that the average Nigerian has of the military is depleted completely, and sadly that is where we are at the moment. Some of the images that was shown in your report were from the social media, and I doubt if there is a Nigerian that will see those images and be happy about them. But unfortunately, if you now tie it to the other factors that I mentioned, the average young person who perhaps doesn't know what a lot of us know about the military, the role they played in preserving our nationhood as an example, and sees that media, and then remembers something like NSAS, all he or she would think is the effect of the military in suppressing their rights. And so he sees the military as a target of some of the attacks, unfortunately. So all of these factors are at play, and I think there has to be a conscious effort, not just by the military, but by the state as a whole, to now address these factors so that that instrument, like I want to emphasize, the military is an instrument of public policy implementation. What the military does is what we as Nigerians ask them to do. If the government tells them to do that's what they will do. So we as the people need to realize that we need them. They have a role to play in preserving our nationhood. And the more we subject them to that kind of attack, the more that capacity and capability that they have for doing it is reduced tremendously.
Well, thank you, Doc.